What is the difference between tropical and sidereal astrology? Not only are we going to talk about some of these differences, we're going to lay a new foundation for our CIRF reports coming up next. Thanks for being here on this special video. If you're new to the CIRF report, then hit subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified. This, my friends, is the astrological foundation that we use for the CIRF reports. Now, CIRF is the collective influence report and forecast. We're looking for the biggest influence that might be affecting the way you think, feel, and behave. And once we know what that influence is, then we can surf. We can know how to surf that energy and know how to accelerate into a better life based on knowing ahead of time what the influence is. So the actual CIRF report involves several different mechanisms, and one of those is the astrology. Astrology is an influence because these planets, these constellations, they're moving around the Earth. The Earth is a very living organism because it's got an electromagnetic field. That is indisputable. And it's also indisputable that if you're too far away from this pulse, this energy from the Earth, then sickness develops. Our bodies, our physiological bodies, need the Earth's energy for life. So now, what about these planets? These planets affect not only the electromagnetic field of the Earth, but also the electromagnetic field of us. And what we have is two zodiac signs inside of the other. The inside one is called the tropical. The outside one is called sidereal, whatever you want to pronounce it, potato. The inside one is the one we've been using ever since we started the CIRF reports. This is called the tropical. This is based on Western astrology. Now, you notice that this little needle here points up straight to the spring equinox. And about 2,000 years ago, they put a stake in the ground and said, when the sun crosses this particular azimuth in between these constellations, it'll be this date. It'll be spring equinox. And then same thing for the summer solstice, the fall equinox, and the winter solstice. From there, it was kind of arbitrary. This is a very seasonal zodiac sign. I'm sorry, this is a very seasonal zodiac system, the tropical system, because it's divided up from there into 30 equal parts. But we all know that's, well, maybe we all don't know, but just know that these zodiac signs, when you look at them in the sky, they're not all the same size. Some of them are very big, some of them are very small. And so we just chop them all up. We chop the sky up into 30 equal parts, or 30 degree parts. And then from there, the Earth has its little wobble, and we call it the precession of equinox. Eventually, this system that was built 2,000 years ago has drifted based on the precession of the equinox. And that is the sidereal. Okay, so when you go out and look at the sky and say, you look at the moon and you can see these constellations. It's kind of hard to see the constellations when the moon is so bright up there. But you can get one of those apps that shows you where the constellations are at any time, even if it's not nighttime out. And when you lay that over the moon, you'll see that even though the tropical zodiac says Cancer, you'll see the moon is actually in Gemini. That's because the sidereal doesn't just mathematically, arbitrarily divide up the sky like that. It actually looks at where the moon is and it uses the actual constellations. So how did we get here? Well, they had good intentions, I guess, back in the day to make it easier. They said this seasonal system always works because for some reason, the sun crosses this particular azimuth at this time, but with the precession of the equinoxes, that's not so true anymore. In fact, the Vedic astrology, the Indian astrology uses this outer one, but there's even a different one for Sidereal, and that is the true Sidereal. And that's where we don't just chop these up into 30-degree blocks. We actually we look at the actual size of the zodiac. Here, what we're doing in the CIRF reports is we're going to incorporate both of them. And the way that we're going to do this is that we're going to look at the tropical for what it really is. It is an influence. It's a heavy influence into personality because it's ancestral. This whole system is based on seasons, and the seasons haven't changed. And neither has our influence on our personality. But, as we know, that's not truly representative of what we see in the sky. And so today, because it's been 2,000 years since the other system was birthed, we actually see something different in the sidereal astrology. When we stand on the ground and look up in the sky, we're going to see these positions differently in the astrology. And what this represents is what's actually happening right now. Another way to look at this is the inside circle is our influence. This is where the energy is coming from. This is what it's doing to our being, our state of being. And then the fix is to align ourselves with the sky. And so, for example, if we have a problem, maybe there's an influence of being too emotional today, and indicated partly because of some stuff we saw in the dream bot, some of the numerology, and we saw this moon in Cancer. And so maybe in order to figure out what to do with that energy, the fix is going to be to look at the Gemini constellation there. In other words, bring out your Gemini and you become curious, become learn from yourself, learn from your emotions would be a great strategy in this case in order to minimize the negative impact of the Cancer energy. So this is what we're going to be doing from now on in the CIRF reports. The inside is going to be the influence, and the outside is going to be the solution or part of the solution or the way to act or the way to minimize the negative effects of any collective influence that's out there. That's the way we're going to be doing this. The relationships are all still equal no matter what system you're using. So for example, Mars in the tropical will be Pisces in this case, and in sidereal will be Aquarius. So keep that in mind, and I appreciate you all being here. I'll see you on the other side of a moon cycle. Thanks, everybody.